Shalom, shalom, YASHARAHLA. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel. Giving, of course, all honor and praise to the Most High, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI. That's all praises to the Father, who the world calls God, whose name is holy, whose name is Yahweh, right? And the name of his only begotten Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahawashi, right? And he is the Savior of the nation of Israel. Shalom to the brothers and sisters out there in this truth, right, that are laboring, enduring the trials and tribulations, and if they fall, are getting back up, right? Shalom to y'all as well, right? So, with that, I like to get into the oppression of the Israelites, right? Because if you didn't know, the Israelites are being oppressed right now, right? And who are the Israelites? The Israelites are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? This is Israelite 101, right? That the Israelites are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and that they need to turn back to their true nationality, right? And to their true heritage, right? And to their true God, who is Yahweh, right? And to the King Yahawashi, right? So, Deuteronomy, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy to the milk, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 15, right? And it reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Right? Because our forefathers didn't listen to Yahweh. We didn't listen to the Most High, right? And therefore the Most High has put curses upon us, right? Verse 16, "Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field." Right? We're the ones cursed in the fields. We're the ones cursed in the cities, right? We're the ones that are in the slums and the ghettos. We are the ones that are cursed in the fields, are in the cotton fields, right? The corn fields, right? Doing all the hard labor while Esau's in his truck with the AC blowing, right? And his windows tinted, right? Yelling at us, right? So we're the ones cursed, right? Let's go to verse 21, right? And it reads, "The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it." Right? You got this coronavirus, and we don't know if it's 100% real, right? About what they're saying, right? That the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, or the so-called blacks and Latinos, are being the ones that are worst affected by it, right? They're the ones that are having that high death toll, right? And that's one of the curses, right? Let me go to a verse where it says that we will be oppressed always, right? So let's go to verse Salakia, right? Salakia. Let's see here, right? Let me look it up. Slack. Verse 29, right? Oh, okay. We got two verses. So Deuteronomy 28:29, and it reads, "And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness." So, we got we're blind, right? The Lord even smote us with blindness, right? That we can't see this truth, and another fold that we actually can't see, right? And it says, "And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways." Right? We try to open up a business, right? And then it gets crushed, right? In Oklahoma, about Black Wall Street, right? What happened to that? Right? We had our own banks. We had our own communities, right? We had our own infrastructures, right? We had our own buildings. We had our own doctors, hospitals, right? We had almost we had we were about to trade with other nations, and then what did Esau do? He bombed the city, right? He bombed the city, right? Which was in Oklahoma, I believe, right? So if you don't know about that, and you're an Israelite, hey, shame on you, you know? Shame on you, because that's our history, right? And that just shows you the oppression of the so-called white man, that he's the oppressor, right? And it says, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed. So the Lord said that we're going to be only oppressed, right? And spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. No man shall save thee, right? Only Yahweh himself, right? And Yahweh is going to do it by sending his son, Yahawashi, and his angels, right? To deliver us, right? So we're the ones that are cursed. We're the ones that are only oppressed and spoiled evermore, right? Let's go to verse 32, right? And it says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Our sons and daughters were given unto another people, unto the Arabs, unto the Hamites, right? Unto the Ishmaelites, the Ishmaelites, right? Unto the Moabites, right? Unto the Edomites. So we're that nation, right? That our sons and daughters got given to another people, right? And thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, right? Hey, during slavery, right? Esau would just snatch up our daughters, snatch up our sons, and we wouldn't see him again, you know? So, hey, that happened. And we will fail for longing for them all the day long. Can you imagine that? You know? That happened to us, right? And it's still happening, right? It's still happened in the Northern Kingdom, right? Their sons and daughters are being taken away, right? Hey, it's still happening to all Israel, actually, right? Because, you know, our daughters and sons are still popping up missing, right? And it says, thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. That's why we weren't able to overcome this base man, this wicked devil, right? This weak man, right? Esau. That's why we couldn't overcome him during slavery. That's why we still can't overcome right now, because the Lord said that there's not going to be any might in our hand. Because if we overthrow the so-called white man, right? Then hey, there's no praise in Yahweh, right? Because Yahweh, he's going to be that one that's going to save us, right? So that his name may be known, right, among men, and that he may be praised, not us, right? Verse 33, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed. It says, thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. We're the ones that are oppressed and crushed. Is this talking about the so-called white man? Is the so-called white man oppressed and crushed always? No, he's not oppressed. How is he oppressed? Right? This is his kingdom. He may go as he pleases. Right? Everyone looks up to America. Right? You got the EU. Right? Thriving. Right? So, this is not talking about the so-called white man. We're the ones that are only oppressed and crushed always. Right? Verse 34. So that thou should be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. And mad in this case would mean crazy. Right? You got a lot of brothers and sisters in Israel, right? That are not in the truth, of course, but that are crazy. Right? They're just crazy. Right? Talking to himself, yelling out loud, cussing at the wall, right? That's us being smitten with madness, right? That's the Lord doing that, right? So the Lord said that we're going to be oppressed, right? By the oppressor. Who is the oppressor, right? Let's go to Proverbs real quick though, right? 22. Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 16. And it reads, he that oppresseth the poor, and who is the poor? We're the poor, right? Pursuant to Isaiah chapter 61, I believe, right? We're the poor, right? Who's the, we just went through that, right? Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field, right? We're the ones that are poor, right? We're the ones that's trying to, that's working 2 jobs, right? Working $14, $15 an hour, right? Even less. We're the ones that is poor, right? It says, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want, right? Now, who's oppressing the poor? The so-called white man, right? He's the one that's oppressing us, right? Let's go to James, right? 2 and 5 real quick. James chapter 2 verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren. Now, James is talking to the Israelites, right? Ethnic Israelites from the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Slakia, right? He literally says that. James chapter 1 verse 1. James, the servant of God and of the Lord YAHAWASHI, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Right? So this letter is to the Israelites, okay? James chapter 2 verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not God chosen the poor of this world? Right? The poor of this world. Who is the poor of this world? Let's go to Revelation real quick. Right? Precept upon precept. Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works. So this is Yahushua talking. Right? Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. So the real Jews and the real Israelites are in tribulation, right? They're in trouble, right? They're being oppressed, right? And poverty. They're in poverty, right? Like Yahushua, when he was walking the earth as Yahushua, he was in poverty, right? Because he came from the northern part of Israel, right? Which is Galilee, right? He came from Nazareth. That's where he was raised up at. And Nazareth is the hood part of Israel, right? It's the ghetto, basically, right? And it says, but thou art rich. How are we rich? We're rich in faith, right? The kingdom is promised to us. We're the ones with the scriptures, right? Pursuing to Romans 3, right? What advantage then hath the Jew, right? Because the Israelites have an advantage, right? And it says, and I know the blasphemy, right? Blasphemy is a wicked lie, right? And it says, of them which say they are Jews, right? They say they are Jews, right? These Jewish people, right? And it says, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan, right? So they're the synagogue of Satan. All right, so let's go to James chapter 2, verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world, right? Rich in faith. So the poor of this world are rich in faith, right? The ones that are being oppressed, right? The Israelites are rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him. But ye have despised the poor, right? Do not rich men oppress you, right? Because our people, they hate each other, right? It does not say in Deuteronomy 28 and 54 that our eye shall be evil towards our brother, right? And toward the wife of our bosom, and toward the remnant of our children, which we shall leave, right? That just goes back to the curses, right? And it says, but ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you, right? Because the rich men, pursuant to Luke 16 and 19, the rich man is the so-called white man, all right? If you didn't know, he was given the fatness of the earth, right? He's the great whore dressed in purple, right? And fine linen, pursuant to Revelation 17:4, right? It says, do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats, right? So rich men oppress us, right? We're the ones being oppressed, right? Let's go to Psalms real quick, right? David, he's an Israelite, right? What did he say about this? 136, I believe. 133. 134, right? Psalms 119 and 134. Deliver me from the oppression of man, so will I keep thy precepts, right? Hey, David prayed to be delivered from the oppression of man. Who's the man, right? That colloquial term, the man. The man is referring to the so-called white man, right? So David is saying, look, deliver me from the oppression of man, because we're oppressed, right? The Lord also, David, he always prayed to be delivered, right, out of captivity. And who's putting us captive? The so-called white man, right? Let's go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 14, right? Isaiah 14 and 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right? The Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, right? And then we're going to be set in our own land. Because Israelites right now are not in their own land. Right? We're scattered abroad, right? Mainly on this side, right? On the Americas. But we're scattered abroad, right? And it says, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right? The strangers in this case are the Goyim, which in the Hebrew means the heathen, right? Verse 2, and it says, so the heathen are going to be with us in the kingdom, right? But what's going to be their role? Let's read. Verse 2, and the people shall take them. We're going to take the heathen and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them. When you possess something, you own it, right? So the Israelites, we're going to possess the heathen. We're going to own the heathen, right? Them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, right? And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So we're going to rule over our oppressors, because the Israelites have oppressors, because we're the ones being oppressed, right? It's evidently clear, right? Just go to the slums and the ghettos, right? You see police harassing us every day, right? We're the ones being shot, right? We're the ones being shot in the streets innocently. We're the ones being put in jail for 40 years for a crime we didn't even commit, right? We're the ones being oppressed, right? And it says, verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. So the Lord is going to give us rest from our sorrow, man. That's in the kingdom of heaven. Because we're not, remember, pursuant to the curses, we're not going to get any rest in this society. We're not going to get any rest in this wicked kingdom, right? And from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, right? We were made to serve in Edom, right? In this place Babylon, right? So let's go to after that, let's go to so basically, going back to the curses, right? Going back to the curses. Deuteronomy 28 and 66, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. So, really, the Israelites are fearing for their life day in and day out, every day, right? We're fearing our life every time we step out the door, right? Every time we get in our car, every time the lights flash behind us, and a cop pulls us over. We're fearing our life, right? We're fearing our life. Every time an Edomite looks us at a certain way, them redneck Edomites, and we're fearing our life, right? Even though we're stronger than Esau, right? The Lord has put them up, right? As the most powerful right now, right? So our life shall hang in doubt before us, right? And we're not going to have any assurance of our life, right? And this is the curses, right? These are the signs of our oppression, right? This is not happening. This is not happening to everybody, okay? It's not happening to everybody. It's happening to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right? And with that, let me just read verse 65 real quick, right? And I encourage every brother and sister to read this chapter, right? And I know it's 68 verses, but you can get through it, You can get through it. Verse 65, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind, right? So among these nations that we're going to serve in, or we have been serving in, right? America, right? Spain, right? Mexico, right? Basically, in the land of our captivities, right? Certain African nations, right? Europe, right? Among those nations which we're going to serve in, we're not going to find any ease, right? And the sole of our foot is not going to have any rest, right? Brothers and sisters that have to go to work every day, they're always, complaining how much they got to work, right? How much they can't pay bills and stuff, right? And that's just part of our oppression, right? But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind, right? Hey, every so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American suffers from some form of PTSD because of all the slavery and hard bondage and sorrow we have gone through in this society, right? Have gone through it over the years, right? This is not just our only captivity that we've been in, right? Our history didn't just start in 400 years ago in 1619, right? We had multiple captivities, all right? The Roman captivity, right? Grecian captivity, Persian and Mede captivity, Egyptian captivity, Babylonian captivity, ancient Babylonian, right? We had multiple Assyrian captivity, right? We were captive 70 years in India, all right? Read about that. So we had multiple captivities, all right? So we suffer from PTSD, right? All of that, right? Depression, right? Not just Edomites are getting depression, When Jake and, Northern Kingdom, when we get depression, we don't really show it, But Esau, he kills himself because he's weak, right? But we suffered over 400 years of captivity and hard bondage and oppression, and we're still here, right? And that's because of the grace of the Most High, right? Can't forget that, right? So Israel, we're the ones being oppressed, right? And that's what that lesson was about, right? Hopefully it was edifying through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. So with that, I'd like to give a call to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, WASHALAM.